Hello. Hopefully, I have a fun one here for everybody. So, I've been kind of leading up to this where Microsoft Agent Framework has a workflow builder. That's where you start to get multi agent systems, one agent calling another, or maybe some code that could be executed. That could be maybe a later one where I can have a couple of agents in there intermixed with some Python, just normal code, and then calling another agent. I think I'll do that one in the future. But for this one, I'm going to tie in three different agents, and it's going to be like a sequential workflow where one agent's going to call another, going to call another. And the scenario here is you're receiving some feedback. Let's say came into like an inbox or something like that, or maybe somebody called up and gave some feedback, and you're going to feed it into this multi-agent workflow orchestration. And at the tail end of it is, well, what should you do about it, right? Like, so if some feedback came in, should you praise everybody? Should you put something on the backlog? Like, what should you do because of this feedback, or maybe nothing? A future one that I could put in here is some sort of conditional, maybe it's spam, and you would just ignore it, right? So in this scenario, you're actually going to get an output of an action, and the action isn't going to be like a tool call action. It's just going to be simply, this is what we should do. Like, here's a quick one sentence blurb of what you should do. So these are the agent instructions. Like I said, there's a summarizer agent, a classifier agent, and a what to do now that we've done those things. And this is what, from my understanding, when you do multi-agent systems, you really want to focus in on each individual agent has a specific role to do, and these are the sort of roles that you would want to really isolate those down, so they get really, really good at those roles. So the other thing I wanted to show here was that, technically these agents could all be running their own models, on completely different infrastructure. So, like, I don't know if you'd actually do that in real production world. Probably not. You'd probably pick one pathway and go with it. But in this case, I'm using Microsoft Foundry for the summarizer agent, using Amazon Bedrock for a classifier agent, and then I'm using NVIDIA's hosting platform there. This one happens to use a Nemo model, one of the new ones that came out just not too long ago. And that's the thing that will actually determine the action. Okay, so those are those three agents. And this is very similar code to what you've seen in the other videos that I showed. It's just using the OpenAI SDK. I'm kind of a fan of it. I'm sure there's going to be a reason why I move away from the OpenAI AI SDK, but for as long as I can, I'm going to be using these in the demos until I hit certain limitations, and then I can move on to other things. But it's really nice. But you can just switch between models, switch between cloud platform providers. Okay. So then my main method of the code, I'll just create those three agents. That was those methods up above, really straightforward. And then you create this thing called a workflow builder. And so Microsoft Agent Framework actually has a sequential builder as well, where you just pass it, so in this case, run this agent and this agent and this agent. And that's really straightforward. And that's actually what I'm doing here. But I figured I'd write the code such that you could kind of see the possibilities here, like some fan in or fan out, fan it back in terms of, like, as a result of this agent, I could potentially call like three different agents, that sort of thing. And then from those three, come back to the one or whatnot. So that's where you say, where am I starting? And then Microsoft Agent Framework calls it edges. So from this one, I then go to the classifier agent. From the classifier agent, I move to the action agent. And I'm just building it. And then what I'm doing here is I'm actually not running it. Instead, I'm going to use this thing called Microsoft Agent Framework devui to run it. And for those that have maybe seen some Microsoft Agent Framework examples, you've probably seen this in action, but I'm going to show it here. And you can expose what do you want to show in this UI that I'm about to show here as soon as I run it. And I'm saying, well, you know what? I'm going to give you all three agents. You could independently execute each one of these agents if you want, or run the workflow. Okay. And yeah, so that's the code. That's the extent of the code. And so I'm just going to run it, and you're going to see it in action here. So I have in my my clipboard uh, a some user feedback. So it's a really long 3-paragraph feedback, and up on the top here you can say which agent or workflow do I want to run. Okay, so I'm saying use the summarizer agent. It's just going to summarize whatever that said. What is it trying to say? And it says, oh, Customer found the service representative helpful, but experienced confusion with the upgrade process. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. So then what about from a workflow perspective? That's where you want to take that, summarize it, classify it, and then perform some action. And so this devui shows you that workflow in a visual canvas here, right? It's this one, this column, this one, column, this one. And so you can configure this as well. So I'll paste that same sentiment in here. And so that first one called Microsoft Agent Framework came back, great. So then it called this, now it's calling Bedrock. And you can see here it's working away. It's reasoning through. And it's kind of interesting because if you take a look at all of this output that's happening along the way, it actually broke it down kind of sentence by sentence, sentiment by sentiment of all that feedback, like surprised by an unexpected surcharge. Well, that's negative. Well, there's other ones in here that were positive. And so it kind of came up up with kind of a overall tone, and then it fed this into an action agent. Then the action agent, if we just scroll down, if I can, it's the action agent said that the end result of all of that was escalate as a high priority process issue for the infrastructure product team. Okay, so there you go. So that's where again, to kind of quickly summarize, multi-agent workflow using Microsoft Agent Framework. Let's go back to the code. Using Microsoft Agent Framework, so this is workflow builder. You kick off an agent. The agent has edges. In this case, it's sequential. It's just one calling another, calling another. It could actually fan out and then fan back in. Each one of those agents have their own responsibilities. I'm serving it up in devui. You can see it in action. And each one of those agents actually called a completely different infrastructure provider, whether it's Foundry, then called Bedrock, Amazon Bedrock, which then called the NVIDIA. So anyways, that was a cool little demo. And it's the first one that I'm actually showing with a true multi-agent system. So yeah, any questions, just let me know.